Good morning, everybody. Today, we're going to go over the answers to the study guide that you did on Bright Thinker yesterday. And as soon as you're done with this, if you feel ready to take the test, you can go ahead and do that as well. It's not due until Thursday, but you are welcome to start it early. So we will just go right through the answers. It should be automatically graded so that you knew what your answer or what your score was for the study guide. But just taking a little time to refresh you of each part of the history unit that we just finished up. So I'm going to present over to the study guide. Okay, now first question, which is back to the very, very beginning. Who were Romulus and Remus? Who were they of these options? They were the twin brothers who, according to legend, they founded Rome. Okay, number two. The ancient Romans believed in, let's see, is it one god, no one but Caesar, many gods and goddesses, or the goodwill of the natural world? Many gods and goddesses. Some of you might have thought for that one, no one but Caesar, because they certainly believed that the emperor was incredibly important. Julius Caesar was the one who was dictator for life first. However, gods and goddesses were the ones that they believed in as far as their religion. The Roman gods and goddesses based off of the Greek ones. And the Roman Republic, who were patricians. Were they dictators who took control over the country, members of powerful and wealthy families, the poor working men and women, or legions of Roman soldiers? The powerful and wealthy families. Right? Plebeians were the poor people, the kind of common people. Oh, which goes into the next one. They were the poor working men and women, and patricians were the higher class. And the Punic Wars, going all the way back to that. Rome fought against whom? Was it Carthage, Constantinople, Egypt, or Greece? All of these were important to Roman history at some point, but Carthage is the correct answer for who they fought against. Okay, do you remember? It doesn't get into this, but do you remember who was one of the famous generals that they fought against? Hannibal, that's right. That was a famous Carthaginian that they fought, who used elephants from Africa. Remember that? Now, who conquered Gaul and became a dictator during the last days of the Roman Republic? Who was that? Was it Hannibal, Pompey, Julius Caesar, or Mark Antony? Julius Caesar. He really expanded the empire. So did Caesar Augustus after him. But Julius Caesar conquered Gaul and he became dictator. He was the one who declared himself dictator for life. But then he was assassinated, which means he was killed. Who assassinated him? Was it Mark Antony? The Roman senators, including Caesar's best friend, Brutus, or Cleopatra, or Caesar Augustus? Was the Roman senators, including Caesar's best friend, Brutus. All of these other three were around the same time as Julius Caesar. Actually, well, Mark Antony, Cleopatra, and Caesar Augustus all were at the same time. They all knew Julius Caesar in some way, but the senators were the ones who assassinated him. The Queen of Egypt who helped Mark Antony was Cleopatra, who became known as Caesar Augustus, Rome's first emperor after he took power. What was his original given name? Mark Antony, Octavian, Brutus, or Pompey? It was Octavian. October is named after him. The Roman Empire spread over nearly, or actually, was I wrong about that? No, October is not named after him. August is, Caesar Augustus. The Roman Empire spread over nearly all the land surrounding was it the Black Sea, the North Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, or the Red Sea? The Mediterranean. Mediterranean comes from Latin meaning in the middle of land. Okay, so Mediterranean Sea is between Europe and Africa, which is south of it, and Asia borders the Mediterranean Sea as well. And so they basically had all of the land that bordered the Mediterranean Sea. Let me go over here to a map. So all of this blue in the middle is the Mediterranean Sea. They had all of this part of Europe, as well as Turkey, which later became the place where Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire, was located. And down here in parts of Africa, they conquered from the Punic Wars with Carthage. So that's all the Mediterranean Sea. Now, Rome's provinces were connected to one another and the capital by, was it aqueducts, well-built roads, long-distance runners, or an early form of the telegraph? How did they stay connected and really be able to travel and talk between these areas? It was well-built roads. That's what connected the provinces to Rome, and that's where we get the phrase, all roads lead to Rome. Now, what symbol of Rome was built on a hill in Rome to honor the king of the gods? Temple of Jupiter, Marketplace, Colosseum, or Forum? The Temple of Jupiter. Jupiter is the king of the gods, modeled after Zeus, the king of the gods in ancient Greece. So the Temple of Jupiter is there to honor Jupiter. What did the Romans watch at the Colosseum? Remember what it was for? Was it chariot races, debates between senators, comedies and tragedies being performed, or fights between gladiators and wild beasts? The last one, fights between gladiators and wild beasts. Now, what did they watch at Circus Maximus? Same options. Chariot races is the right answer to the Circus Maximus, though. That's the one that was huge, several times larger than the Colosseum. How was Pompeii destroyed? Not Pompey, but Pompeii. Was it covered by a huge flood, conquered by Julius Caesar, buried by a volcanic eruption, or devastated by a Greek invasion? The volcanic eruption, of course, that's Mount Vesuvius eruption that covered Pompeii. And why is it important to archaeologists? Was it the capital of the Roman Empire? It inspired the Romans to create a fire department. That one's a silly one, but it makes me laugh. Its buildings and objects were well preserved for centuries, or it was the first part of Rome to fall to invading armies from Europe. This third one, its buildings and objects were well preserved for centuries. So that helps us to see what life was like for the Romans in just a normal city like Pompeii. What was Pax Romana? It was a 200 years of peace in the Roman Empire. Sorry, I saw the word peace because that's what Pax means. It was a time of peace for 200 years where there was not any civil wars. In general, Rome was doing very well and living peacefully right after Caesar Augustus. He kind of started that era of the Pax Romana. During the Pax Romana, did Rome grow weaker and poorer? This should say poorer. I can change that. Wealthier and larger? More fair and democratic? It was wealthier and larger, somewhat, but mainly more fair and democratic. Now, why did the Romans persecute the Christians? Remember this? Did the Christians threaten to attack the empire? Nope, they did not. Were they from foreign lands? Is that why? It's not why. They had different religious beliefs? Yes. And the Romans were afraid that that would anger their gods and goddesses. And the Christians blamed Nero for burning Rome. Was not the reason. How did the Roman army change as the empire declined? It grew stronger and became more civilized. It tried to kill the family and friends of old emperors. It grew weaker and many soldiers stole food to survive. Yes. And nope, it did not beat barbarian armies on the borders of the empire. It did not do that because it was already so weak. Who was Constantine? Next question. Was he the first Roman emperor to accept Christianity? Yes. I'm not going to go through the rest of them, but this is the one that is correct. He was the first Roman emperor to accept Christianity. He also is the one who started to shift the capital of Rome over to Turkey in Constantinople, the western part of the Roman Empire. Now, the Western Roman Empire ended in 476 CE. But then the Eastern Empire lasted longer. Match each term to its correct definition is the last part. Number 1 says a group of countries or territories under the control of one ruler. Correct one is an empire. So you would put letter H. Okay, all of these countries under control of one ruler. Artwork made of many small pieces of colorful stone or tile. Which of these was it? Mosaic, that's right. Which one was a structure for carrying water across long distances, like a pipe system? That pipe system was aqueducts. Very modern of them to be thinking of that. Had very interesting engineering that really worked well and continued that way for centuries. A government in which people elect others to represent them is a republic, where people get to decide who they want to represent them, even though it was only the rich people who got to choose in this case. Who is someone from another country? Which of these? Foreigner is correct. Means from a foreign place. Which one is to fail or end suddenly? Which of these would be best? Collapse. Think of like if you've ever played Jenga before, your Jenga tower might collapse. It starts to, or it suddenly falls. An area surrounded by seating for the public where sports events are held would be an arena. That would be the best option, where there's seating all around. So a Coliseum and the Circus Maximus are examples of that. But also, we today have arenas that are modeled after that. Money that's paid to the government by people is a tax. Option A. And a person who belongs to a country and has protections under that country's law is a citizen. A citizen, that's what we talked about in spelling as well, is someone who has protections under that country's laws. They belong to that country. And finally, a narrow body of water that connects to larger bodies of water is a strait. There were several of them in the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, that is all. These are going to be the same questions that you'll see on the test. So if you followed along with this and have been taking your notes and reading consistently, then you will be good to go on the test. And if you want, you can even take it after watching this video. Okay, I will talk to you all later. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.